Okay, now we're going to go through the actual demonstration itself. Really quick, just to kind of recap, this is what we are going to do here. We're going to just do what we showed before. We have an on-premise environment. We're going to go through a provider called Megaport, connect via ExpressRoute into the Microsoft backbone by the MSEE. So we'll use a service key there. We already have an AVS instance attached, so a DMSE is already deployed, and then we'll configure this global reach connection using authorization key. And the process of this will go sequential in this order. We'll create the ExpressRoute circuit instance in the Azure portal, and then we'll get what they call a service key, as we mentioned before, from the portal, and we'll be able to provision it on the Megaport side. And then we'll create the authorization key on the ExpressRoute connection to establish the global reach and then verify end-to-end connectivity. Okay, so if we look at that really quick, here we have an on-premise environment. So we have something called a hybrid cloud extension, or HCX, deployed. We're using this as a means to verify connectivity, and I have a connection between on-premise in Chicago and then Santa Clara, California in the US. And then I have a ping running just to verify connectivity. In the middle is our portal into the Megaport service. So we already have one ExpressRoute circuit set up for Europe. And then we have something called a Megaport Cloud Router. So we have a cloud router being, it's deployed, and we'll attach the ExpressRoute circuit there. The reason for that is because we have multiple connections going to multiple AVS instances, and this provides some central point for connectivity, and then the connection going back to on-prem. So this provides the network connectivity here. And then on this side is where we'll establish the ExpressRoute connection, get that service key, plug it into the Megaport service, then go back in the portal, and then build a global reach connection. So if we hit create here, we'll let the portal bring up the options. We'll change the subscription, and the resource group will be in West US. And we'll have to change this as well to West US. And the circuit name, we have this pre-configured, so I'm just going to use a naming convention that we have in our lab. And here we have this. It's through a provider, Megaport, so we'll keep provider. I'll have to choose the provider here, so we'll type in Megaport. And then we'll use a standard SKU. Billing model is metered. And then we'll go to the next options here. We are not going to include any tags. And then we'll go ahead and review and create. Looks like we forgot something here. What do we forget? Peering location, okay. That would be, I think, in Los Angeles. Yeah, Los Angeles. And then we'll just verify that everything's properly done here. And then we'll hit create. So what this will do, it will create this ExpressRoute connection on the Microsoft side. And then in the portal, we can pull out this service key, and that identifies the ExpressRoute circuit. It's a unique identifier for the circuit itself, and that allows us to put it into the Megaport portal, and that will provide that automated connection into the ExpressRoute backbone. So once this is deployed, we'll take a look at this. Move this back. Okay, the deploy has now succeeded. So now if we go into the resource itself, we can see as a part of this ExpressRoute circuit, there's something called a service key. And again, this is the unique identifier for the ExpressRoute circuit. We can copy that and then go into the Megaport portal. And again, because we're using a cloud router, we go into the router itself to create a new connection. And then we'll choose cloud. They have a partnership with Microsoft. And this is where we add the service key. So we literally just copy and paste it into here. It'll verify that the key is unique and then give us options how to deploy that. So there are different ways we could deploy it based on diversity and different options such as that. It will be a private connection. So if we go here, we want to connect into this Azure private service into the ExpressRoute circuit. So we'll keep it as the default private. We'll choose next. And then we'll use a VXC test name here. We don't need to give it any SLR for the moment, and then it'll give the pricing accordingly. And then we will do this according to here. We'll, of course, change the rate because I was looking at the pricing and wondering what was going on. So we'll change the rate, and then we will hit next, next, next. And then we need to order this. So we'll choose order. It'll validate the order and make sure that everything's properly connected via the service key, and then make sure that we have some type of PO behind it. It'll deploy that. And as that's deploying, it's actually going in the background and doing API calls to Azure to set up the connection between Megaport and this ERC, or the ExpressRoute circuit that we deployed. So from that perspective, this will take a couple of minutes for this to properly become active, and then we'll come back and do the global reach. Okay, so the circuit has been deployed here in Megaport. So we see the status is green. And then on the Azure portal side, we see that the status is now provisioned. On the Azure private side, we see IP addresses have been allocated. These are linked local. These are not advertised, so you'll see these 169.254 addresses. We see that it's provisioned and the provider is Megaport. So effectively what we have now is the connection that we talked about before, where if we look at the PowerPoint presentation, we essentially have the connection between here and here completed. Now we have to go back and do the global reach between the MSE and DMSE that's attached to AVS. And that's why our pings are not working yet, but we'll do that next. So if we now go into the ExpressRoute circuit, there's something that we need to redeem. So the first thing that we do is we go into authorizations on the ExpressRoute circuit side. Again, I'll follow a naming convention that we have here in the lab. So I'll just copy that in here, and we'll create a key on the ExpressRoute circuit side, and then we'll choose save. Now, once we save it, it'll take a couple minutes here, but then it will create an authorization key. And then if I go on to the AVS side, so I'm same Azure portal, I've gone into my AVS SDDC, I go down to connectivity, and there's an option called ExpressRoute Global Reach. This is where we redeem it. So if I choose add, I'll quickly refresh this here. It should be, yeah, no, I just finished. Now we have an authorization key here. So if we go on to the SDDC side, this is where we will redeem it. So the first thing that we do is we copy the authorization key into this option within the AVS SDDC. And now we need the ExpressRoute circuit. So we will go into the configuration here. I think it's actually an overview. So if we go into the resource ID here and just copy to clipboard, this will be the ExpressRoute circuit information that we'll need. Actually, we have pre-populated here. So it'll follow the same naming convention because we've created that here. So we'll just choose that from the drop-down menu, and we'll hit create. And what this will do in the background is create that association between the two different MSE platforms. So currently it's doing that. We've created the key on this side, we've redeemed it on this side, and now it's creating this peering. Okay, so if we refresh this briefly, we can see this is still updating from a portal perspective, but the pings have started to work. So we know we have connectivity. So we know that this global reach connection has been reactivated. So effectively, we have this right here. We've built the connection from an ExpressRoute connection perspective via the service key, and then the global reach peering has been completed because we've entered that authorization key, built it on the MSE side, redeemed it on the DMSE side, and now we can see that the pings are working end to end. Probably will take a minute for the notifications to update, but let's just quickly take a look here. Okay, we'll give that a second. And we'll see if our HCX peering is active. This will also probably take a moment to come back up, and we should see the status here as green. Okay, now we see that the API calls through the portal have been done in the background. So we can close this, and we'll just refresh this briefly and see if the connection comes up. Now we see that the HCX site pairing is green and the connectivity end-to-end between our on-prem environment through the Megaport portal is fully connected into the AVS instance inside the Azure data center by the ExpressRoute connection we built between Megaport and the Azure backbone, as well as a secondary global reach session between the two MSEs.